Welcome to Julie's Rich Life, where I share my plans to retire at age 56, finances, health, everything. Today I'm talking about how I did in my very first no spend, no buy month. I've started no spend, no buy months before, and then I ended up spending something, and then I just quit, said, well, I failed. But this month I took a little bit of a different approach, and I want to share with you some tips if you're getting ready to do a no buy, no spend month. A lot of people like to do that in January, so it might be nice to think ahead. And what I learned, and then what my actual numbers were, because I did actually spend, and I'll talk about why I kept going even after I spent money and why I think you should too. So first off are some things to think about and some things I learned, and then I'll share the actual amount of money I managed to save this month. Okay, so before you begin, think about what your motivation is. Is it because, like myself, you want to just kind of stop consuming so much, just in general, or maybe to prepare for the fact that you'll be consuming less in retirement, partly because we kind of, by the time we get to retirement, the typical age or maybe a little earlier for retirement, we're done with the accumulation phase of our life, and we're kind of ready to let go of some items that we had and definitely just not buying as much for ourselves. So it's good practice for that. That was one of my major motivations. And then also I just wanted to see how much money I could save. But mainly it was just kind of trying to get out of that consumption mindset. I don't think, compared to a lot of people, I'm a big consumer, partly because of the stage of life I'm in and partly just because that's just me. That's just my personality or whatever. But those were my motivations. And then I guess the third motivation is just, I like a challenge, and I knew that's a good challenge for anyone to try. Just, can I actually not spend money in these certain categories that I commonly spend money in? So think about what your motivation is, because you'll need to draw on that motivation throughout your no spend, no buy. So when you're tempted, to remind yourself, what am I even doing? And then remember that as your no spend, no buy month, you make the rules for this month. So you can watch other videos, and I did, or read articles for inspiration, but you get to decide what the categories are. And I'll review my categories, but there's the only rules are the rules you make. So there's going to be expenses you still have to pay, right? You still need a place to live. You still probably need some kind of transportation. So it's probably impossible to not spend or buy anything. So you get to decide what you're not going to spend money and what you're not going to buy. So don't feel pressure just because of what other people give up. Decide what categories might be challenging for you and you want to challenge yourself, and choose that categories. If you want to give yourself an easier to achieve challenge, do that. You get to decide. My categories were home decor, fancy toiletries, makeup, and I did not spend money in any of those categories. I didn't spend any money on clothing or accessories either. Two categories I did spend money on were convenience foods and eating out. And I talk about that in my recap videos, but basically I gave in to the temptation of eating out when we were traveling out of town, but I did make what I bought low buy. So for example, on the way home from visiting my mother-in-law, we all stopped. What did we get? Oh, we all stopped at a taco place, and I just got, one taco and no drink. So I kind of gave in, but in advance I knew I'd be spending money, but I made those low buys. And I didn't intend to spend any money on convenience foods. We had been subscribing sometimes to these Factor meals, pre-made meals, and I thought I had turned it off for the whole month, but there was 1 week apparently I left on in the middle. So that's where I spent money on convenience food. And then again, I had already made an appointment to get my hair done with my mother. We go to the same place and I drive her there. And I could have waited for a haircut, but you know, time is important too. And since I was going to take my mother, I did just go ahead and get a haircut. And so there's haircut and tip I spent money on. But I didn't spend any money on extra treats for my dog. And I didn't buy anything for my new grandchild. She doesn't need anything. I will buy things next month for Christmas, but so for more than half of my categories, I didn't spend any money. Also, when you choose your month, I know January is a popular month and November has been a popular month to do a no spend, no buy. But if you really are the type of person that you won't feel good if you spend any money like I did, then, you know, look at the month. Is it realistic? Like, are you going out of town for a wedding? That might be really hard not to spend any money while you're there. Or are you throwing a party? Then that would not be a good month to not be spending money on convenience foods, maybe, if that's one of your rules. So just look ahead if it's your first month doing no spend, no buy month, and look ahead and think, is this a realistic month for me to try this for the first time? Then have some way to keep track of when you do like break your rules, but be careful because you don't want to have a journal like, oh, here's all the times I'm breaking my rules, because the plan is to not break your own rules or your rules, but do have some way to keep track. I kept track by doing videos about them, so I have that journal of when and why I spent money, but you know, you can just write it on a post-it note. Hopefully that would be big enough for the times you deviate from your rules. But just have some way to track it so that the next time you do this, you can see how much better you do and compare. Then another piece of advice is to stay out of stores. Now, I do kind of end up doing most of my shopping online. A lot of times I go to stores and try to find something and then they don't have what I want. And so I end up buying it online. I try to buy more things in stores locally. And sometimes I just can't find what I want, but staying out of stores is helpful. I didn't go in very many stores. I stayed out of Costco. They have a lot of great things for sale right now. So I did Costco delivery, and I know that did actually save me money. I'll talk about my numbers later in the video. But I went to Lowe's because we needed a fan part. And so I went in there and I was like, oh, I could buy a wreath today. I'd like to have one up for when I host Thanksgiving. That'd be nice, but I didn't buy the wreath. That was a temptation just because I was at the store. Another temptation was I need a new Christmas mat. And oh, they're so cute. And I know that half of these are gonna sell right away. Maybe I should get a mat, but I said no to that. And then there's something with me and Mrs. Meyer soap. So I wanted to buy, you know, a Christmas scent of soap, and we'll need soap eventually, but I didn't buy that. So 3 temptations, and that was just like in the front entryway of Lowe's, right, that I was tempted. So staying out of stores as much as possible will be helpful, and also, you know, just not browsing online. Now, as far as what I learned that there is a snowball effect that happens during your no spend, no buy month. So there's a snowball effect that once you make a purchase, that purchase can lead to other purchases. It could be just, oh, I broke the rule, like it doesn't matter now, I'll just start buying more. Or it could be like with me, I didn't forget I was going to a game, I just didn't really think about the fact that I was going to have to pay for tickets to this game this month. So that technically didn't break my rule because entertainment wasn't one of the items that I was planning on not spending money in. It didn't even really occur to me actually because I don't have much of an entertainment budget. Most of my entertainment's free. But anyway, once I paid for these tickets, I thought, oh, you know, I need more collegiate wear, you know, hat or a sweatshirt or something to wear to this game. So there was a snowball of, oh, I'll have to, you know, buy some gear to go to this game properly, which I didn't buy any gear. But then there's like food, you know, to buy while you're at the game. Those college football games are really long, and that led to snowball if I did eat at the game, hence the eating out. So just beware that can happen, and be strong. Even if you break one of your rules, just be strong. You don't have to keep breaking more because of it. And then there's also the snowball effect that once you don't buy anything or spend money on any services, it just gets easier and easier and every day, and before you know it, it's the end of the month and you didn't spend that much money. And so I ended up saving a lot of money. Another thing I learned is it's important to give yourself grace. You know, we don't want to shame ourselves. This is our project. This is our challenge. These are our rules. Don't feel bad about it. Each time you don't give in to temptation is a success. So when you do, just, you know, make a mental note, oh, that was hard, and then I'm going to do better tomorrow. And so just give yourself grace. The point is just to learn and to challenge yourself. You know, you're only really accountable to yourself unless you are sharing things on a YouTube video, then you're accountable to whoever watches. But just, I mean, grace in life is just important. We have to forgive ourselves just like we forgive other people. Okay, so here are my numbers. So what I did is I compared how much I spent in October when I wasn't doing a no-spend month to how much I did in November. I decided that for this no-buy, no-spend month, that rather than comparing it to the average, comparing it to a month adjacent made a lot of sense because we're in the same season. You know, I've got the same things going on in my life. I'm not on vacation. So that would be a good comparison. So compared to my October spending and this spending, because I didn't eat out much, and when I did, I didn't spend much on myself, and because I didn't buy a lot of convenience foods, I was able to save. Hey, if you're still watching, could you do me a favor and go ahead and like this video, and if you've maybe watched a couple of my videos, go ahead and subscribe so that you can join me as I prepare to retire at age 56. And I'm rounding here, $732. Now I know for some of you, you're really amazing and you don't even spend that much in a month. I do feed 4 adults and then oftentimes make food for my daughter who just had a baby and her husband, or they'll eat over with us. So that's a lot of grown-up people I am feeding, and I was spending quite a bit on like convenience meals just because I cook so much for the students in my toddler community and then all the people, and so sometimes it's just nice to have some convenience. And so that was quite a bit of money. Also, I live in one of the states that's the top 5 most expensive places for groceries. So, you know, if you live in one of the states with lower priced groceries, my numbers might be shocking. It is what it is, and groceries are going up in cost, even as I'm talking right now. But I'm just focusing on what I was able to save. Okay, so in our budget, or I call it my conscious spending plan, I have a certain amount that I can spend on myself for whatever I want without saying to my husband, hey, what do you think we should spend this on? And then he has his amount that he can just spend without checking with me. And so that might be things like hobbies or our clothing or personal self-care things, or if we do see just something we want to buy for fun, it would be from that category. I didn't save all of my guilt-free spending money, and I guess I didn't talk about that. I have 2 subscriptions that I wasn't just going to cancel for the month. And one was my massage subscription, because I do really need a massage every month to stay out of pain and agile. But I didn't actually go to my massage because that would have meant tipping. So I just went a month without a massage, and I'll do that in December. So I didn't cancel that subscription. And then I have an herbalism website that I subscribe to. That's one of my hobbies. And that's like $7. And I didn't cancel that like just for a month because that just seemed like a big hassle to cancel and then re-enroll and everything. But in my rules, I didn't consider those items. All that is to say that I didn't save all of my guilt-free spending money, but the amount I did save is $281.50. So nice chunk of change there. And then in our budget / conscious spending plan, because of this no buy, no spend month, we were able to save money from the joint flexible spending account, and that's things like garden tools, something, for the household comes out of our flexible spending account. It's probably what a lot of people would call the miscellaneous spending account. So because I wasn't purchasing things or services from that joint account, we also saved money, and that amount is $183.50. So also a nice chunk of change. So that means the total amount we saved was $1,197. That's a rounded number. So that's quite a bit, and obviously most of that was in the grocery budget, which really shows me that convenience food spending is really important to keep an eye on. And one way I hope to do that in the future is just I need to do more meal prep on the weekend. And it's also better for the environment. I mean, we have really good recycling where I live, so I can recycle all the packaging, but there's still energy in recycling. So it's better just to not consume in the beginning. So that's another benefit of a no buy, no spend month is it's better on the environment. You're not driving to get things. You're not driving to partake in entertainment outside the home. And it's easier on the earth not producing and transporting all these goods that we may buy. So that's another bonus of a no spend, no buy month. All right, let me know what I overlooked or maybe didn't experience. What are your tips and tricks for a no buy, no spend month? What have you learned by doing them? And what kind of money did you save? I think I saved quite a bit, and I think I'll save more next month by really focusing on convenience food spending. All right, here's a video YouTube thinks you'll like, and here's a video that I think you'll like. Hope to see you in the comments. Take care.